So very hearty good morning to everyone and welcome to this workshop on healing cities. It's an absolute delight to be here with you today, and with me is Debashish Nayak, who's a well-renowned, world-renowned heritage architect, conservationist, and who was instrumental in making Ahmedabad, India, a heritage city. And I'm Arun Vaklu from Pune, which is not very far from Ahmedabad. And I was the originator of Purna Pune or Compassionate Pune, and also worked with the Charter for Compassion. So it's a delight for Debashish and me to be here. So hearty welcome. And Debashish, you want to say a few words of greeting to everyone before we begin?
Yeah, welcome everyone, and thank you, Arun. Thank you, the Healing City. Thank you, the Compassionate Cities program. I'm really looking forward to share our experience and go through it, make you go through it, and then share your answers, your queries, and I hope that someday you'll visit our places. So please, Arun, go ahead and present your program. You all move together. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So a lot of gratitude to the Charter for Compassion. I'm always grateful to the Charter for the way they connect people in cities and different programs. And so hearty compliments for being great connectors. A lot of gratitude to the MLK Day of Service program, and also to John Reimer and the Compassion Games. We're also grateful to the Foundation for Peace and Compassionate Leadership, which is also supporting this work of healing cities. So friends, what we're going to do today is look at healing and give some kind of context to healing. And then we'll lay a foundation for MLK and Gandhi, Martin Luther King and Gandhi, their relationship, and how he traveled to India, where Debashish will tell you the story and will walk you through that part. And then Debashish will tell you a little bit about what he is doing along with his fellow co-creators to heal Ahmedabad. And I will tell you a little bit more about what we are doing to heal Pune. And finally, we will commit ourselves to some action. So coming to healing, I think if you look at the world today, there are huge disconnects between nations. There are disconnects between people of different strata of society, economic strata. There are disconnects between people of different races, different ethnicities, different preferences, and so on. And we are pretty much a world which is divided. And that division is also something that you see in cities. You see, for example, huge divide between the privileged and the underprivileged. We see a huge divide between other species on the planet and the human species. I mean, cities are literally driving out a lot of the creatures from their habitats. I mean, sparrows, I know for sure that sparrows and bees have had some cataclysmic reductions in their population, or the way we are treating our fish, or the way we are treating the habitats in which many of these birds and other species live, thanks to the expansion of cities. So disconnect with nature, disconnect with our greenery, disconnect with ourselves. I think if you just look at the amount of time that we spend on the cell phone, we find that we are also disconnected from our bodies, from our feelings, from the sunlight, and definitely from our neighbors. So friends, I think cities are in crisis, and considering that 50% of the whole world is really living in cities, I think this is a serious problem. It's a serious concern. And so we are very grateful to the Charter that 430 compassionate cities have been brought onto the map and they are collaborating with each other. There are beautiful examples to learn from, whether it's Louisville or Sao Paulo or many other places. I think there's lots to learn. Yeah. Again, disconnection. I think the whole thing that Martin Luther King was talking about, which is the arms industry and what havoc it is creating in our societies, in our cities, whether you look at Syria, whether you look at Libya or any other place, I think you find that war has devastated cities in many, many cases, very far away from the peaceful scene that you see on the right-hand side of a lady tending to plants, a lady being one with nature in the truest sense of presence and in the truest sense of being one with life. So there is a lot of disconnection, just to repeat, disconnect between people and themselves, a disconnect between people and nature and other species, and a disconnect between people and people. And healing, friends, is nothing more than repairing and reconnecting back to our own self, to our own soul, to the soul of other people, in deep compassion, deep respect, deep listening, and also reconnecting back with the earth and with the other species, the other earthlings, who have also become part of the injustice that is happening in our cities and on the planet. So where does Gandhi come in and where does MLK come in? Let me just spend a few minutes on that before I hand it over to my colleague Debashish. So a little bit about the background of MLK and Gandhi. I think both of them were great devotees of peace. They were great devotees of social justice. And they both talked of soul force. They both talked of the capacity of the human spirit, when we are in touch with the human spirit, for it to bring about change in society, in our cities, in our societies. And they learned from each other, definitely learned. I know for sure that Martin Luther King learned a lot from Gandhi, but Gandhi wasn't alone. He didn't get this knowledge from the heavens. He, in turn, also talked of soul force, but I'll tell you the origins. Now, I think it's important for us to understand the common thread between MLK and Gandhi. I think Gandhi said great causes cannot be served by intellectual equipment alone. They call for spiritual effort of soul force. We have everything on the planet to heal the planet 5 times over. We have enough money, enough technology, enough resources, but still it's not happening. And again, I think it's an absence of soul force, it's an absence of the spirit, and an absence of compassion. Gandhi again said soul force comes only through God's grace and never descends upon a man who's a slave to lust. I mean, if we are a slave to the ego and all its cravings and aversions, we don't understand what is the power and beauty and purity of soul force. And Martin Luther King, who also was, he was a minister, a man of faith, a holy person. He also talked of soul force as love your enemy, refusal to obey an unjust law, and that was common civil disobedience, organize huge demonstrations, God-sized demonstrations, and resist oppression through nonviolence. So both of them were influenced by writers, and Gandhi was deeply influenced by Henry David Thoreau, who also wrote the book Walden and who also wrote on the duty of civil disobedience. So Henry David Thoreau inspired Gandhi, and Gandhi inspired Martin Luther King. And they all went ahead and made movements of civil disobedience. Another person who influenced Gandhi a lot was John Ruskin, and he wrote the book Unto This Last. Now, I think in 1908, Gandhi read this journey. He was traveling from one city in South Africa to another city, and he read the whole book. And he was so inspired by it, he said that I am going to dedicate my life to the principles that Ruskin has put in. And he later translated this book into Gujarati, and he called it Sarvōdaya, or the welfare of all. So friends, I think they have both been influenced by writers like John Ruskin, Henry David Thoreau, and in turn have influenced each other. Especially Gandhi has had a huge influence on Martin Luther King. I think one of the things that they talked about is beloved community. They both talked about beloved community. Now, what exactly is beloved community? It's a community in which everyone is cared for and has an absence of poverty, absence of hunger, and absence of hate. And in a sense, if you look at a healed city, it is really the same thing. It is a beloved community, a community in which everyone is cared for. People have homes, they have food, there's no poverty, there's no hunger, and definitely no hatred between communities, between people of color and people of not color, and so on. This is really what they are both talking about. And healed communities, a healed city is really a beloved community. Again, I think very beautifully put by Martin Luther King. He said a beloved community is not an absence of differences. He says it doesn't mean that all of us are the same. It doesn't mean that all of us have the same color, the same faith, the same gifts. No, he says a beloved community is a place, a community where we all bring our gifts forward. We weave them together with love into a tapestry that brings out the best in each one of us. And this is really what beloved community is. It is integration. And this is what a healed city is also all about. Now, as I said earlier, I think we have all the information, all the knowledge, all the technology required to meet these SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, all over the world. We have all the money, we have all the technology, all the people, all the information, and we have organizations. And we have such beautiful organizations like the Charter for Compassion, the United Religions Initiative, the Foundation for Peace and Compassion Leadership, Initiatives of Change, Rotary, Service Space, MGIEP, and you name it. And all these organizations by beautiful people are there, and yet we are still far away from the vision of Gandhi and Martin Luther King. And friends, I propose, Debashish and I propose that the absence is not in the organizations, not in the technology, not in the money. It is the absence of compassion. It is the absence of that purity of heart, that purity of soul force, which was the driving force of Martin Luther King, which was the driving force of Mahatma Gandhi, which was the driving force of Nelson Mandela, of Desmond Tutu, of Thich Nhat Hanh. All of these people, every one of them, worked from a space of deep compassion and deep inner connectedness to spirit. And if we can reclaim this, if we can bring this back into our leaders, if we can bring it back into ourselves, I think the healing of cities will not be difficult. I mean, we have brilliant people like Debashish there. We have wonderful people all over the world. It will not be difficult. So this is the missing element, and this is where Gandhi and Martin Luther King come in. This is where the Charter for Compassion comes in. How can we bring compassion into our actions? Because the outer work can never be great if the inner work is small. Meister Eckhart, one of the most beautiful mystics of Europe, he said, the outer work of healing a city or creating a peaceful world can never be great if the inner work is small. And the outer work can never be small if the inner work is great. If we all reclaim the oneness with soul force, we reclaim our oneness with spirit, with infinite capacity, it will be very easy to heal our cities. It will not be impossible. We can do it. Yeah. And another thing he said is, God can't come to visit you unless you are not there. Beautiful. He said that as long as there is an ego, as long as there is an I, you're out of touch with soul force. As long as there is an I who is the doer, who is the creator, the healer, the whatever, you cannot be in touch with soul force at all. And it is this ego that comes in the way, a fictitious self-sense of who we are. And friends, it is this ego which is the source of anger. It is this ego which is the source of hatred, which is the source of divisions between us. It is the source of not listening, of not being respectful. And therefore, if we can learn to transcend the ego, if we can learn to transcend the ego, we would really, really carry forward the work of Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and Thich Nhat Hanh. I just discovered today while researching for this presentation that Thich Nhat Hanh was a very good friend of Martin Luther King. And all three of them said something similar. They said the real enemy is not outside of us. There is no enemy outside of human beings. There is only the enemy within, which is our anger, which is our reaction, which is our ego, which is our judgment. The enemy is within. And again, there's no need to fight the enemy. They said just understand the enemy, look at the enemy, be compassionate, and transcend the enemy by witnessing what is really happening within us. So, and Thich Nhat Hanh, who left his body recently, I think, again, an apostle of tremendous peace, tremendous presence, tremendous compassion. And it was such a joy to find that he was a very dear, dear friend of Martin Luther King, and that they both believed in beloved community. I was very, very happy and very touched by that. So leadership, which is really the heart of change, in a survey of 54,000 people, the topmost factor that came up in great leadership is integrity, truth, soul force, walking, talking, thinking in ways that people trust you, in ways that people know that you have absolutely no malice towards anyone. You love every single person. And that kind of integrity, friends, is what Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, Thich Nhat Hanh, Nelson Mandela, all of them displayed. And so can you. It's not something that's only for saints and sages. No, I think Thich Nhat Hanh, His Holiness Dalai Lama, have shown us very, very practical and simple ways to cultivate that compassion in ourselves, to cultivate that presence in ourselves, so that we also can be instruments of a higher will, instruments of healing, instruments of compassion. Yeah, and again, so Mahatma Gandhi said, for me, the voice of God, of conscience, of truth, or the still small voice means one and the same thing. It's exactly the same. So whether you call it the voice of God, or the voice of conscience, or the still small voice, the voice of truth, or soul force, it's exactly the same thing. These are just different words, like water. We call it Wasser in German, or we call it l'eau in French, or water in English. So it's exactly the same thing, but the names are different. So I think as long as we remember that we are talking the same thing, I think we are on the same page. I love this quotation, and it says that millions of people are affected by the thousands whose behavior is changed by the hundreds whose lives are redirected by a handful who are joyfully surrendered to God. This is beautiful. It's like a multiplier effect. You find that millions of people, a Gandhi, Martin Luther King affects millions of people. But then some people close them. Hundreds of them are redirected, are remolded by the sheer power of a Martin Luther King or a Gandhi who's surrendered to God. And when we say God, we're not talking of some patriarch sitting in the sky. We're talking of life, life as a whole. Life in its wholeness is what we're talking about when we say surrender to God. So it's another way of saying surrender to life, one with the joy, the peace, the abundance of life is what we're talking about. So pausing once in a while, just sitting silently, pausing, taking time to just be still is important for peace. It gives us awareness, gives us a sense of deep unity, gives us a sense of silence. And there's no such thing as Hindu silence or Muslim silence or black silence or white silence or Christian silence or Jewish silence. Silence is silence. Peace is peace. So if we can be that peace and be that soul energy within ourselves, we are on the beginning of healing ourselves, our connection to other people, and our connection to nature. So friends, before we go further, just to get in touch with our own compassion and just to feel that sense of oneness with all of life, I'm inviting you to a small peace meditation, which we will go in now, and then I'm going to hand it over to Debashish. So let's just get ready for a peace meditation. I will stop sharing for a moment and we'll connect us back to the peace meditation. And then Debashish, we will get into the part where we are going through the journey of MLK in India. So just a small moment, please, and I'm just going to share this peace meditation. So friends, just settle down wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just settle down and let's enjoy this peace meditation. Now, can you hear the sound?
Peace is everywhere and always. It is always here. It is always now. Breathe in, breathe out. All places arise in peace. All times arise in peace. All feelings arise in peace. All thoughts arise in peace. All sights, sounds, smells, and tastes arise in peace. All joys and sorrows arise in peace. All births and deaths arise in peace. Breathe in, breathe out. Your body arises in peace. Your mind arises in peace. Your emotions arise in peace. Your entire past, your entire present, and your entire future all arise in peace. Breathe in, breathe out. All pleasures and pains arise in peace. All desire, fear, anger, sorrow, and doubt also arise in peace. Breathe in, breathe out. All love, kindness, forgiveness, healing, and compassion arise in and are perfect expressions of peace. All understanding and wisdom arise in and are perfect manifestations of peace. All sincerity, truth, and honesty arise in and are perfect reflections of peace. Breathe in, breathe out. All of these things arise and disappear in peace. Before, during, and after all thoughts, all feelings, sensations, perceptions, experiences, what always remains? What is never born and never dies? Breathe in, breathe out. After all things fall away, what is eternally here and always present? This peace is what you are. This is simply the truth. Understand this deeply, and the battle is over. Understand this without reservation, and there is no more struggle. Realize this fully, and the search has come to an end. Breathe in, breathe out. We are all peace. We are all one. We are all peace. We are all one. We are all peace. We are all one.
So we will just move forward now, and Devashish, I am going to invite you to now tell us a little bit about the journey that Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King went through. So I will share it and you can tell me when to scroll. Yeah. So over to you, Devashish.
Yes, thank you, Arun. Thank you for this wonderful introduction. And you have already initiated the journey, an understanding between Gandhi and MLK, Martin Luther King. But how this relation manifested mutually and by real life understanding. Uh, Martin Luther King was always, he heard about Gandhi and he studied Gandhi, and you can keep that, yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
And then he actually wanted to visit India. So in fact, there is a very interesting line on this beginning of this journey, that if it is a train ride that created Gandhi, but it was a bus journey that made Martin Luther King. It's very interesting that how in a similar situation, they have been insulted, they have been their integrity has been breached, and they really got together their passion and the need for their rightful place in the society, and they got together, and then the whole journey began. But I'm now going to take you through the Martin Luther King's. You can scroll down. Martin Luther King's real journey to India. He was invited in 1959. He visited India to understand and the Gandhi, and his whole journey. He actually traveled across India. You know, he first landed in Delhi, which was the capital of India, and he was invited by the then Prime Minister, Mr. Nehru, and then he from there you can scroll down and went to Patna, where very close to Patna was the in fact what he was mentioning, Martin Luther King, that his journey to India, he compared it with that. He said this quotation you can see on the screen, that in other country I may go as a tourist, but in India I come as a pilgrimage, as a pilgrim. So his whole journey of understanding Gandhi, understanding India was very crucial. So from Delhi he was received and he went to Patna. Patna is very close to Bodh Gaya, which is which was the where Buddha got his enlightenment. So he understood Buddha, and from there he went to Shantiniketan, which is a place very near to Calcutta, and where Rabindranath Tagore, the famous poet, saint of India, initiated his experiment with truth and the education system, and he traveled there. And then from Shantiniketan he went to the southern part of India, Madras or Chennai, you can call it today, and there he met and understood how Gandhi was appreciated. His movement was been accepted by people, and he has this various ashrams, various centers of peace in all these cities. And from there he went to Trivandrum, and from Trivandrum also he has a wonderful experience of and he in Trivandrum he actually been introduced in a school in Trivandrum is talking about a school attended by a large by students who were the children of former untouchables. And the principal introduced Martin Luther King that young people, I'd like to present you to a fellow untouchable from United States of America. So he started thinking that and he said to himself that, yes, I'm an untouchable, and every Negro in the United States of America is an untouchable. So that whole Indian thoughts about this untouchability was very much experienced by King in Trivandrum. And from Trivandrum, he went to Bangalore and another southern city. And from Bangalore, he met everybody and understood his journey. And from there, he reached Bombay, which is Mumbai today. And he actually stayed with a place called Mani Bhavan, where Gandhiji used to stay. And he wrote in the visitor's book that he was so excited to, he recorded the significance of staying of Gandhi's residence in his guest book entry. So it was a real pilgrim for him. And from there, from Bombay, he actually ultimately reached Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad was the city in Western India, in the state of Gujarat, where Gandhiji came from. When after coming from South Africa in 1915, he decided to initiate his struggle for freedom in India from Ahmedabad, and he made his ashram there. In fact, from Ahmedabad only in 1930, he initiated this famous Salt March, and which very much was understood and liked by Gandhi, and he never gone back to this ashram. He decided that unless India is getting freedom, you never go back to this Ahmedabad ashram. So the Salt March, understanding Salt March is very, very crucial, and he actually walked 241 miles, almost 24 nights he stayed, and ultimately he broke the Salt Act, and that created a massive movement for India. So such a peaceful methods of working. So from there he went to Agra for briefly and gone back to Delhi, and then flew back to America. So almost
sorry to interrupt you, but which was the famous walk in the United States that Martin Luther King initiated, which was inspired by the Gandhi March?
Absolutely. It was the Salt March in Ahmedabad. He learned actually, and also the whole peaceful method, his understanding about his various activity, which has been reflected, as Arun mentioned rightly, that from Salma to Montgomery, this 53-kilometer walk, which actually transformed this American history and got the civil rights at the end of the civil rights movement. So he actually felt that people in India really accepted him with open hand, and then he actually, King said that if India is a tremendous force for peace and non-violence at home and abroad, it is a land where the idealists and the intellectuals are yet respected. We should want to help India preserve her soul and thus help to save our own. So it was visiting India had a deep impact for Martin Luther King, and we today and the whole civil disobedience movement, the civil rights movement, actually is there, and it got its energy back, and ultimately it is got this whole support of the community and the compassionate, and it really healed the right of the right movement for the people. So from there we go to the real life experience, which of in Ahmedabad, in Pune, when I was and this whole civil rights movement is happened because of this whole process of understanding. and then we'll go back to like in our present day city. In fact, we are thinking of connecting all these places Luther King traveled through to discover, rediscover Gandhi, who could be part of this compassionate city movement. And now we'll show you the actual how we can deal with the city, a complex city like Ahmedabad. And I was invited in 25 years back to come to Ahmedabad from Calcutta and do something with to heal the city of Ahmedabad. So one of the things, as Arun also mentioned, that that people really don't know the place they're living, like that they don't know who they are. Similarly, every citizen should know their city, and it really, knowing a city really initiates this healing process. So here in the you can see that what I initiated in Ahmedabad. You can go to this next, the bigger slide, and you can see this. Every day this walk is happening. It's starts from a temple in the morning and reaches at a mosque, and it goes through various neighborhoods of Ahmedabad and look at the birds and the beautifully carved wooden building, and people started walking, and this healing, this really created a connection between the people and the city, and eventually Ahmedabad became the first World Heritage City in India, and like Philadelphia is also in America's first World Heritage City, UNESCO recognized World Heritage City. So next slide, please. And you can see that the diagram. Yeah.
The diagram. Okay.
So you can see this, how this heritage walk can trigger off this whole engaging community, and in a various levels of engagement you can see in the compassionate city program. There are 8 healing process which has been mentioned in the compassionate city, where so we also initiated similar program in Ahmedabad, and by a simple the heritage walk, and you can see that how hundreds of people got together and took this journey. The film, please. Yeah. So you can see that hundreds of people from various ranks and society, politician, civil society people, they all got together and took this journey, literally walking from temple to mosque. And you can see, I'll just show you another small thing, how this movement becomes so strong. One of the top actor of called Amitabh Bachchan has been used kind of took this journey so that I can physically take you through the street of this wonderful city, and you can see this show, experience this healing process.
And also, Devashish just mentioned the chabutras in Ahmedabad and how it connects back to the environment and to birds.
Yes, this is called bird feeders. In Gujarati, it's called chabutaras. There are more than hundreds of bird feeder in almost every community neighborhood of Ahmedabad, just to give food to birds. You know, I mean, with the people, with the dogs, and how the community really feel for this. And these are wonderful piece of sculptures, and they're actually talk about the compassionate passion of the city's people to all the living soul. So that is very, very unique for Ahmedabad. And we'll show you now the physical journey from the Mandir temple to the mosque, and such a colorful place is there.
Gandhinagar is the capital of Gujarat, but its heart is here in Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad. Khakra, Fafra, Fafra. Logan. Shopping, 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 and more shopping. This is the pole for birds, and this is a pole for people. These old community homes are saying, you stay in tall high rises, but you don't even know the names of your neighbors. Oh, a secret door. The Jama Masjid in Delhi is not the only one. This is Ahmedabad's Jama Masjid. Incredible. I just walk across from the mandir to the masjid. Divinity harbors no distances. Breathe in the past and the future. Breathe in the spirit of Ahmedabad. Breathe in a bit of Gujarat.
So it is a journey I've taken you through. Now I hand over to the compassionate Pune to Arun again.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. So thanks. One of the things I've taken this walk along with Debashish, and one thing that I can tell you is that it connects you like nothing else. I remember you're connected to the sounds of the city, the smells, the laughter of children, the birds, the architecture, the heritage, and the stories behind the city. And I think stories that stir the soul, stories that bring you back close to the soul of the city. And I think therefore heritage, of which Debashish is an expert, is a powerful tool to heal cities. It is a powerful tool to bring alive the stories in the city. Coming to Pune, that's one of the first compassionate cities in India was Pune. And I'll just show you a little clip and then share with you some more ideas and insights of what we are doing in Pune to heal the city. So let's watch this little video. So I think again, this is a picture of a video call we had between a school in Pune and a school in near Karachi, Pakistan. This was about 3 or 4 years back. It has spawned of a movement between many schools now. Now, for example, a school in East Java, the children are talking to a school in Hosur in Tamil Nadu. And it was amazing to hear the children of this school in East Java talking about Rama and the Ramayana with such passion, with such enthusiasm, and showing the children of Hosur Shiva temples in East Java, which is a predominantly Muslim country. And on a festival, on a particular full moon festival, it is the Muslim community of East Java which dances the Ramayana out. Now, it was such an eye-opener and such a beautiful experience of how it's about human stories. It's not about religion, really. It's about values. It is about great people, irrespective of religion or community. So children are getting to understand each other, and even within India, there is healing happening between, say, Kashmir and Tamil Nadu, between one school in Madhya Pradesh and another school in Bombay. And I think the children are expanding their vision through the movement called Collaborating for Compassion. And again, in Kashmir, where we find there is a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of tension at times between different communities, which was not really the ethos of Kashmir, but because there are very few spaces where people can have honest, heartfelt conversation, the problems are compounded, and there are a lot of vested interests who want to jump in and spoil the whole piece of a place. So again, using tools like open space technology, online, using conversations, connection, co-creation, we find that it is possible to create healing spaces. We also use appreciative inquiry a lot, like as Martin Luther King said, it's not all about being the same, it's about celebrating our differences. It's about looking at what is the positive potential that each community brings, that each religion brings, and discovering the very best in our shared experience. So we are using a lot of appreciative inquiry, looking, for example, at what are the, who are the organizations in Pune city who are working for environment? Can we all gather together? Can we appreciate our gifts? Can we be beloved community, as Martin Luther King says? So we're using a lot of appreciative inquiry, and we are celebrating what is right with the world, celebrating what is good with the world. And also, we are also envisioning a global appreciative inquiry for action, which means that out of the 430 compassionate cities in the world, can we really work like a community of practice? Can we identify what is Louisville doing right? What is Barcelona doing? What's the great heritage cities? Which are the peace cities of the world? Which are the heritage cities of the world? Which are the compassionate cities of the world? Are there overlaps? What's happening, so that we can dream and design based on the positive potential? We also use a lot of open space technology. I think many of you may have experienced this, but it's primarily a place, a safe, peaceful place where you can be passionate about what you really care about. You can talk about what you care about with others who resonate to the same thing. And you take responsibility for that. I mean, we've used it between India and Pakistan. We've used open space technology in Kashmir. We have used it in the city of Pune. And we find that it's a beautiful way to heal differences, to get people respectfully together, and also to sit in silence, to connect with the soul force that Gandhi and Martin Luther King have talked about. We also in Pune have a process called the I Catalyst. We facilitate catalysts of inspiration, initiative, integration, and innovation. And you can learn more about this process from One Wholesome World I Catalyst. And we feel that these are the imaginal cells. Like in any city, there will be imaginal cells. There will be people who are sparked up, whose soul force is active. Can we get them together? Can we get these imaginal cells together to work as one and to catalyze a further movement across the spectrum of the population? Yeah, so coming back to action now, I'm going to hand it over to Debashish to talk about something. But before that, Dr. Azza Karam of Religions for Peace says something beautiful. She says, working together to love and serve everyone is compassion in action. That's it. Love all and serve all. Because if there is one thing that will heal our cities, heal our nations, heal our planet, it's nothing but love, nothing but compassion. And when we can connect with this soul force, when we can connect with the love in our heart and work from there, I think we become the artists. Mark Henson, one of my favorite artists, we can become warriors of the soul. We can become warriors of peace and write a new story which replaces and displaces the story of hatred, of disconnection, of disrespect for nature, disrespect for other people, and we write a new story together. And that is the hope That is the deepest dream we have for you and for us and for everyone else. I think life really is love in full expression. If you see what Thich Nhat Hanh has said, what Nelson Mandela has said, Gandhi has said, they've all said, look, hey, life is love. It is love in full expression. Be still, be peace, know who you are, and marvel at the miracles that abound. Matthew Fox talks about that. Ioana Macy talks about it. I think every person who really cares for life talks of the awesomeness and beauty of life as a whole. So can we reclaim that? Can we be present to that? It's not as if we have to get it from somewhere. It's there in the birds, in the trees, in the bird feeders of Ahmedabad, where beautiful birds come together, the sounds and the smells of life. Can we reclaim that and be one with that and celebrate life in its fullest? We talked about this journey. So over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Arun. Thank you, Arun, and thank you for making this wonderful drawing of India, map of India, where
Yeah.
we can see that how the journey of Martin Luther King across India. I mean, you can literally see that he actually traveled from west to east to south to north, and all these cities are connected. Like where Buddha got his enlightenment, you visit that, and how you visit the Tagore's, our poet saints, famous university, and so we feel that you have a long journey, and Pune has already initiated to becoming a compassionate city. So why not follow the path of Martin Luther King's journey to discover Gandhi and India? All these towns could be part of the compassionate city network from India side. And Ahmedabad, I being there, can also sign this agreement. And this, so the compassionate city charter should be one of the basis of this initiating this healing process. And I personally have run around heritage walks in more than 50 cities in India and smaller towns. So eventually this walk from point A to point B and making people rediscover their own town, own city, and who they are could be really a beginning of this journey. So I suggest that in our action, we initiate the Charter of Compassion through this journey and through this city. And I would expect that like Stanford has a Martin Luther King Center, and they had twice took this journey. So why not we offer and jointly do this program and rediscover Gandhi and King, like discovering ourselves. So that is I think we could be taking it as a very important action for the future, for the compassionate city.
Nice, yeah. And Devashish, I think the Charter for Compassion could actually offer these kind of journeys and
Yes.
say the MLK Gandhi journey, and then people come to India and they go through this whole circuit, and at each place they go to Gandhi's home, they go to the Sabarmati ashram, we sit and meditate together, we go to Rajpath, Rajghat in New Delhi, and Bodh Gaya, and so on. So it's a beautiful opportunity for the Charter for Compassion to create this little journey and healing actions. I would just like to build on that, and that is, if I look back on my own time, I think sometimes we think that we're going to do it in the future, we will do something in the future, but this quotation from Martin Luther King was beautiful. He says the time is always right to do what is right. And in India, we say Shubhasya Shigram. Do not delay good things. So do it now. I think for me also, I think it's also a question of commitment. You know, if you have too many things on your plate, you can't give it commitment. But when people like Gandhi and MLK, what they teach us is focus on one thing, focus on one or two things, and be totally, totally committed to it, and it will manifest. So I think that's what I'm taking back from this experience. And Debashish, anything you want to share before we give our contact details? Anything you want to share on what else can we be doing?
No, I think while we take this journey of compassionate city, but we
Yeah,
also need to engage the people of those every city, and that is very very important. And we can talk about this MLK 40 days of the and compassionate city program to various platform,
yeah,
and share our experience and connect people. I think that will be our
sure.
one of the important mission of the charter. So that
Very
could
nice.
initiate this process.
Yeah, very nice. And I would add to that that during this journey through these cities that MLK traveled through, there must be a practice of peace, a practice of mindfulness, practice of silent sitting, as Gandhi taught us, as MLK taught us. Because without that inner transformation, without that inner tapping into soul force, it just remains more like intellectual things, and that does not bring great movements, that does not bring healing. So I would urge us to also keep that in mind as we go through this journey. And of course, Debashish and I will coordinate with the charter to see how we can manifest this. If you want to get in touch with us, please feel free to do that. These are our email IDs and our phone numbers, Debashish and me. It's been a joy to be with you, and feel free to get in touch with us. If you have any questions, just drop us an email. If you have any suggestions, drop us an email, and we'll be happy to respond. I want to thank a few people, but before that, Debashish, do you want to say anything?
I feel that if at all if there's some query or questions, if there's opportunity, we can do that.
Sure, sure. So thank you all for listening, and thank you for being part of a movement for co-creating a new world that works for all, co-creating new cities that work for all. Cities which are soul cities, spirited cities, compassionate cities, peaceful cities, thriving cities, where everyone is honored. Everyone is honored, including the earthlings, where people are in touch with themselves, with other people, and with the environment. And a big thank you to you for being part of this journey. And thank you, Mimi. And thank you, Marilyn, for making this happen. And with that, we wish you a wonderful time wherever you are, friends. Thank you very much. And we will stop sharing at this point and wish you namaste, and we salute
Namaste. Thank you.
the divine in you, which is the same as the divine in us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.